Yeah, okay. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm a teacher here. I teach business communication. I got my master's in English. Basically, I taught English for about, I don't know, like 4 years, something like that. And then COVID hit and I pivoted. I became an electric broker. Actually, I was making more money that way. So I did that for my family. And then a job opened up to be a faculty member in the School of Business to teach business communication. And I jumped at it. So that was really, really fun. And so now I pretty much run all the business communication classes here on campus. It's really, really fun. But the cool thing was is that during COVID, when I was stuck at home, everybody was getting into like stocks and stuff like that because all of a sudden we all had cash, right? And so I started learning about stocks and investing in business. I really fell in love with the field. And so when I got married, I actually got married the month before we went into COVID. So I got married February 29th, 2020. We went into lockdown in March. And before I got married, I had learned some budgeting tips that 5 years later are still used. And so my goal today with this presentation is basically to teach you fundamental finances, practical finances that should take care of you for the rest of your life. I have, let's see here. I'm actually 33 now. I have bought and sold 4 houses. I have 2 cars that are paid off completely. Okay, I have no credit card debt. I have no student loans, and I fell in love in finances actually through video games. No kidding. So have you guys ever played games like Clash of Clans or World of Warcraft or anything like that, or Adventure Capitalist? I play a lot of games. I've been playing games since I was like 6. I love video games. They mean the world to me. And a lot of games that I played, I didn't realize that I was learning economics. One of my favorite games right now that I play all the time is called Balloons. I don't know if you've ever played it, like these monkeys that like throw darts at balloons. It's really cool. But basically you're getting like money as you're going through the game and you're like building more towers and stuff and those monkeys are like popping more balloons. But you have to like manage everything efficiently. So when do you build something, when do you not build something, right? Should you build stuff that gets you more points or should you build more monkeys? And so it's a whole thing, but it's all economics. And it was the same thing that I learned when I was playing Warcraft 3. It was the same thing I was doing when I was playing a bunch of different games. I learned it through video games. And so it's really funny because when I would go into these discords and I would meet a bunch of people, everybody was really, really good at these games. Like everyone was like really, really, really good at these games. And everyone was really good at managing everything. And it was like easy. And they were really good. I would meet people that were top 10 world, top 40 world, right? Top 1 region or something like that. And I was like, wow. But they sucked in their finances. And so I started to think, I was like, well, wait a minute, like this stuff really is everything that we do in a video game. It's just finances. I was like, well, what's going on here? And I learned that what is the problem is actually behavioral. See, in a video game, it doesn't bother you to give up time or resources. It doesn't bother you at all, right? Rarely is there something in the video game where you want to be like, oh, I've got to have it now. Like, I got to have it now. With us, it's very different, right? We have these primal things that we want. We want food now, right? We want big TV now, right? You start dating and your money goes away, right? That's totally normal, okay? And so what I learned was finances predominantly, guys, okay? Like, please learn this, is all of it is based on behavior. All of it is based on behavior. If you can manage your behavior and live in a budget, you're gonna be cush. And for real, guys, like I live in a really cush neighborhood now. Like I started when we got married, we bought a tiny little home on McPherson in front of Taco Palenque. It's behind that emergency center that's right there in front of TP's, right? And I bought a tiny little house there. It was the only house they were selling. And it was a nice place, but instead of having a wedding, we took the money that we had saved up, and then I asked everyone that was going to the wedding to give us money instead of gifts. And I put a down payment down on a house, right? And then here's a little fun thing. This is not really what we're talking about today, but for those of you who are looking for a house, okay? Your house should be no more than 20% of your income, okay? So mortgage, insurance should not be more than 20%, okay? If you go over that, it's called being house poor, okay? You're basically paying so much for that property that you can't live a regular life. Does that make sense? Right? 20%, okay? That's gonna be freaking hard when you start looking at houses and you're like, oh, I really want that one though. or I really want that one, right? It gets really hard. If you stick to those numbers, I really mean it, guys. When I was doing this, and we're still pretty much in 20% right now, but when I was doing this in my first house, like literally, I made it to the point where if one of us lost our job, nothing would change at all. Like nothing would change. Like we found a nice house, it was fine. It wasn't like the biggest house in the world. I didn't have a great backyard and stuff like that. I had neighbors on my left and my right. I lived on McPherson, so it was just traffic everywhere and low rise, but I had a house. You get what I mean? Like that was my place. I owned that place. And it was so cool that I could have it and one of us could lose a job or just say I want to do a career change and nothing would happen. I would still have my house. Okay? It goes back to behavior. People don't want to do that, right? You want the big house, you want the big yard, you want all these things, but that makes you house poor. Okay? So it goes back to this behavioral debt. We end up in debt because we cannot control our emotions. Okay? For those of you that are going to be managing these things, you're going to be buying houses, you're going to get with your partner to buy a house and stuff like that, stick to the numbers. Numbers don't lie. Okay? Stick to the numbers. It will keep you safe. And really, I mean it. The house is awesome, okay? House is really, really cool. It's where you're gonna be at all the time. So you should, if you're gonna buy a house, like pick a neighborhood that you're gonna be happy with, okay? But at the end of the day, dude, like you could have the best house and still have anxiety attacks. Like, you get me? Like you could still have all this anxiety because the bills are ridiculous, okay? Bigger house means bigger bills, okay? That means you need more AC to cool the house. You're gonna need more power to run the house. You're gonna have higher taxes. You're going to have gardeners that have to take care of it. You have HOA fees. You have all these things. More house, more bills. Okay? So before you get there, make sure you stick to that 20%. It'll keep you safe. And then you work your way up the ladder. Sound good so far? Okay. It all goes back to behavior, man. It all goes back to behavior. All right? We want things right now. We want instant gratification. It's like the weird microwave thing. Like we want it now, right? I want it now, right? Just chill, all right? You will be happy, not even that far down in the future. You'll be happy like now doing this. Like seriously, I know a bunch of people that are house poor right now and they're stressing out. And like doing what I'm doing now, I ended up in one of those like B&B neighborhoods, like where Doctors Hospital's at, right? And I was like, dude, how the freaking heck did I end up here? Like I was just living in this tiny little place. Like, how did I end up here, dude? It's just managing finances. That's it. It took me 7 years to get there. Like, that's not really that long, dude. It's really not that long. Like, I ended up in a really cush neighborhood, and we're still doing that 20%. Does that make sense? Right? But you need to manage your finances now so that way you can do that stuff. You get me? All right. I'm driving a 2012 Civic, right? Paid it completely. I bought it for $15,000. I saved up money to buy it, right? So instead of me getting, which I totally wanted, guys, I wanted the 2023 Civic because it drives itself. I get to go to San Antonio and it like drives itself and moves in lanes and stuff like that. The cool seats and stuff like that. And I got this old Civic and it had 40,000 miles, so it's like a brand new car. But it's like, but I want the new one, right? But the new one would have put me into debt. You get me? Because every debt has an interest rate and all these things and stuff like that. So I just said, no, this isn't worth it. I'd rather have the killer house than the car. Because I only spend a certain amount of time in the car, I live in my house. Make sense? Right? It's all managing behavior. You can't have everything. I said this last time, right? And in the last time that we did this presentation, but I know people, they sold their 2 cars to buy a new Volkswagen, which was like $30,000, and I think they got $4K off of the 2 cars they sold, so barely anything. No, it was It was a $41,000 car. They got like $10K off of those 2 vehicles together, right? So they have $30,000 in debt on that car. I think the interest was something like 7%. So 7% divided by 12 months, that's what they're paying over the course of the year on that car. Okay. They bought a new house at the same time, and they had a kid. Like they are screwed right now, and they're stressed, and you can see that they're stressed. They work all of the time, right? My wife and I go on vacations. It's nice. It's pretty fun, right? But it's just they didn't manage their behavior. So now they're stuck in a crazy place right now. It's all behavior, okay? My wife and I are even waiting to have kids. Kids are expensive, but it's behavior. I want it now. I want it now. I want it now. Just wait. Kids are expensive. Children cost a lot of money. Diapers alone will set you back like $100 a month. right? Then we're talking about childcare. Those of you that want to continue your careers, right? You have to pay for childcare. Childcare is at least in this city, $400 a month, at minimum. Okay, those bills add up. You get me? And so it's all behavioral. So what are we doing right now? I'm getting a second master's degree so I can increase my pay by about, I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000 annually. My wife is currently getting certification so she can increase her pay about by $10,000 to $20,000 annually, right? And we're preparing for children. Make sense? Right? Numbers don't lie. That's it. Just learn to be content with what you have now, and then you can get those things. Make sense? Right? And then you can live a really nice, cush life, guys. Really, really fun. So let's talk about this, okay? We're going to talk about the practical fundamentals of debt and how it works for you guys. All right? Let's talk about credit cards. How many of you guys have credit cards? Anyone? It's crazy. None of you have credit cards. Wow. Wow. Wild. Okay, this is great. That means we get to start fresh. This is perfect, okay? This is really, really, really good because I can teach you how to exploit the system. Okay? So here's the thing. Credit cards that come from banks, okay? Chase, Capital One, Discover, they're all banks, all right? When you get a credit card, you are borrowing money from the bank, okay? So when you charge it, the bank is actually paying off whatever you're buying. So let's say you buy, I don't know, $100 TV, okay? Black Friday, it's coming up in like a week or two, okay? You buy like a $100 TV, okay? Some like 30-inch TV. So you buy the $100 TV and you put it on the credit card, okay? Your credit card has opening dates and closing dates, right? Let us say the opening date is the first of every month, and your closing date will be the 31st of every month. It's typically like that. It's usually like 29 days. What that means is this. The bank's going to see how much you spent from the 1st to the 29th of every month. Always. So far, so good? Okay? Just, okay, yeah, how much did you borrow? You borrowed $100 and that's all you did. Cool. They're going to say, okay, you have about 20 days, 20 to 25 days of a grace period. We're going to give you 20 days to get the money and pay us back. The grace period ends on the due date. That's it, right? But we just don't really talk about it too much because we just say, oh, what's the due date, right? But that's what it is. You get about 20 days to collect the money to pay them off, okay? Then the due date comes. So what does that mean? Is that after the 29th, after your closing date, you get about 20 days. So they'll tell you your due date is always on the 15th. That due date will probably be the next month. Okay, so far so good? If you spend something after the 29th, right, after the closing date, right, it doesn't go on that bill that's coming up. It goes on the following bill. So let's say we opened up our credit card in January, okay? We charged $100 in January. Our bill's gonna come in February, right? Or maybe even March, depending on how we did that, okay? If we spend money after the closing date, you go, okay, is this going on my next bill? No, it goes on the next bill. Make sense? It goes on into, because you've already passed the closing date. They're only going to charge you for that window, right? This is a very smart way for you to buy things where you're like, oh, that's not really on the budget for that month. You can prepay, if you will, for next month. You're like, I really, really need this, right? And it goes on to the following bill. Okay, it's a simple way of doing things so that way you can manage your money and manage your finances, all right? We play around with the dates a little bit to get stuff done. Now, here's the thing. Be really careful with this because it can lead you in a dark area where you're overspending, right? You still need to respect your budgets, but this is where we can leverage things and do something now, but pay for it a little bit later and not accrue any interest payments. Make sense? Right? So learn what your opening and closing dates are. Okay? Like for example, one of my credit cards, my closing date is like the 15th. Okay? So I know anytime I spend anything after the 15th, it's not coming up on my next bill. It's coming up in 2 bills. Okay? So I kind of pre-plan that. I say, okay, honey, like, are you okay with us doing this? This will be on our budget for next month, right? We're kind of like pre-doing this on the next budget. She's fine with it. Okay, yeah, we do that, and it comes up in 2 bills. So I don't have to worry about that. It doesn't go on, the word is the statement, okay? It doesn't go on the statement. It goes on the statement in the next bill after that, right? So far, so good, right? The reason why I want you to learn this is because I leverage this all the time. It's called leveraging business, guys, okay? Leverage this knowledge and information. We're still doing the same thing. We're gonna live in our budget. We're just utilizing the next month's budget at this point, right? That's why I say you have to be really careful with your behavior. We use this when we need to. A great example is Black Friday, right? You could probably leverage Black Friday to get a lot of stuff done. Let's say, for example, you had, I don't know, an allotted amount of money, like $400, $500. You're like, crap, I already used that money though for this month to do certain things, X, Y, and Z. But it's only on sale for Black Friday. I totally get that. It's true. There are certain things that are on great sales on Black Friday that you should leverage. Okay, well then if I look at my credit card statements and see how everything's worked, can I pay for something on Black Friday or Cyber Monday that's past my statement date, right, my closing date? If so, I'll do that, and that'll go on my December budget. Make sense? Right? You might want to leverage it that way. It might work, it might not. It depends on your credit card closing dates, okay? But it's just leveraging information, right? Some people just, and banks won't really tell us that. They won't go out of their way and just say, hey, pay after this day. You will talk to you in 2 months. They don't want you to think that. They want you to pay now. Pay now, right? Pay now. They don't want you to have this information because it helps you, right? Because how does it work, right? The reality is a bank is a business, okay? A bank is a business. And in that business, they make money off of you, okay? Banks do not make money just for holding your cash, okay? Because I could just hold your cash. I'm not making any money, okay? They make money with the spending of your cash, okay? Banks take your cash and do investments. They lend your money out to other banks and they make investments. That's what's going on right now with interest rates. If you see what's going on in the news, interest rates are low or high. Every time they say those numbers, that's the money that it costs a bank to lend money, okay? So when they're talking about interest rates in the news, it's the money it costs a bank to lend money, right, or borrow money. Okay, so if you borrow money from me, the current interest rate right now in the United States is something like, I think, 4% right now. Okay, that means every time a bank borrows money from another bank, they must pay a 4% fee. Make sense now? When those interest rates are lower, banks lend money all the time. They're much more likely to give loans out and credit cards and all that stuff like that. When they're higher, banks are like, oh my gosh, no, give us your money, right? We'll give you a savings account and we'll give you like a really nice interest rate on it. We just want your money, right? That's the way the banks make money, right? Lending and stuff like that. They also make money off of their credit cards. Your credit card has an interest rate, probably, those of you that are gonna get it, somewhere around 20 to 23%. Somewhere in that ballpark, okay? That's annually. So what does that mean? Divide 20 by 12, that's what you'll be charged every month in interest, okay? Interest is whatever you didn't pay off of that statement. So what happens? January statement like we were talking about, right? It comes to due date, you didn't pay off the whole thing. You paid $50, it's $50 less, okay? They're gonna charge you, for this example, let us say your interest rate was actually 12%, okay, for this example. Some crazy world you live in where you got a 12% credit card interest, okay? You will be charged 1%, right? 12 months of the year, 12% interest rate, divide the two, it's 1% every month. You'll be charged 1% for whatever the statement is. What's 1% of 50? 50 cents? Is that correct? I believe so. Yeah, add 2 zeros. I believe that's right. Am I right? It's not $5. No, it's 50 cents. Yeah. So you would be charged 50 cents on that statement. So then the next month you are starting now at $50.50. Make sense now? Right? Cents? Right? It makes sense. All right? $50.50. So that means they are charging you now for borrowing that money that you didn't pay back on the statement. The bank has made 50 cents. Okay? Typically what happens is people do not pay off the statement. Right? They pay the minimum payment. Right? And banks are making money hand over fist. Right? That means that now they just have a constant cash flow now because you're paying the minimum amount and every month they're still adding interest. So inevitably, it might take them 3 years, but they're going to make their money back and more off of you, right? Because you're just paying, okay? This happens all over the place, everywhere, okay? But here's what I want you to know. That's the bad thing that we have to learn about interest rates, right? That's why we pay our statement off every month. Bare minimum, guys, okay? If you can manage your behavior, okay? Pay off everything with your credit card. Gas, groceries, electricity, everything you want, pay it off, right? Why? Because we also get points for doing this with credit card companies, okay? Credit card companies want to give us money for using their credit cards. You guys have heard all that stuff, right? About points and miles and all these things, okay? It's all the same crap. It's all just, here's money for spending money. That's all it is. It is astronomically lower than the interest rate, though. Okay? They're gonna make much more money off of you than you're gonna make off of them. But here's the thing, if you pay your statement off every single month, all you're doing is making money. Make sense now? Right? If we live in our budget and we live within our means and we're still spending the same amount of money, we're just spending their money and paying it off, right? We're just making money off of them. It's called being a freeloader. A lot of banks refer to customers like that. If you never pay interest, they call them freeloaders, okay? Because they're not making any money off of you, but you're making money off of them. Make sense? Okay. It's the simplest way right now to make money off of a credit card, right? Without investments and stuff like that. Just paying off your statement every single month. Super simple. Okay. So I do that every year. I charge everything. I just had a car thing that was like $1,700 that I had to fix on my vehicle. I put it on my credit card, right? I have the money in my bank, but instead of paying on my debit card, I put it on my credit card, right? I'm still gonna pay it like this month, okay? Because I'm not within, I didn't pass my closing date, so it's coming in my next bill, okay? But I get points off of it, right? Those points have allowed my wife and I to fly every year for free. We go to Vegas, we go wherever we want, and we use their money to do it, right? That's cool. It's just like, I'm already gonna spend that cash, I'm just leveraging it to benefit me, okay? They're doing the same thing though, guys. They're doing it in the inverse. They're expecting you to want and want and want and want and want, and then to not pay the statement off and make money off the interest. Make sense now? Okay? So that's it. We're just leveraging it. If you can manage your behavior, it's a great way of doing some small things. You can buy a TV, you can go flying everywhere, you can do whatever you want. I do it every year. I've been doing it for years. It has paid me tons of money. Okay? Right? Because the more you spend, the more points you get. Sure, but I always stay in my budget. Okay? If you're in your budget, you're fine. That's it. You will. It's cush, guys. It's easy. It's all behavior. Okay. And then I go to Vegas pretty much every March. I go to Vegas. It's really fun for like a board game convention with my wife. Right? It's fly for free. It's nice. It's really cool. Okay. So something for you to understand about that. All right. So any questions on any of this information? Anything that I can elaborate on before we move off of credit cards? Anything you're like, hey, what about this? What about that? Real quick. I can clarify before we move on. Take 10 seconds and think about it. Mm-hmm.
So what percentage of
I can show you. Yeah, perfect. We're about to go to that. Great. Okay. Anything else, guys? Cool. Okay. Is this benefiting you all? Great. Okay. Wonderful. Like I said, be very careful though. A lot of people start off with best intentions with credit cards and they end up in major debt. Just stick to the budget and you're fine. Okay. Just stick to the budget. Okay. Because I'm telling you that the interest that you will pay is exponentially higher than what you're going to get from them in terms of points. But they're going to sell it really nicely. You're going to get 10,000 points. You're going to get double points on this purchase and stuff like that. It's a bunch of bullcrap. It's a freaking cents, right? 10,000 points is like $1.50 or some crap like that, right? Like, don't fall for the advertising, okay? Stick to the budget. Sound good? All right. So this is just extra stuff. I don't want us to go through these videos, but if you want this presentation, these are just simple things like if you want to calculate credit card interest. But like I told you, just take whatever it is, annual percent rate, divided by 12, you're in your ballpark of what you're going to be paying monthly, okay? So let's see here. And this is the same thing that I just explained to you, statement date versus due date, just another video. If you want the presentation, just let Donna know, and then I can send it to her, and she can send it to you, okay?
How's it?
So let's see here. We just talked about all of this, the credit card programs and how it works, interest is greater than rewards, what I just told you, right? So just make sure you stick to the budget. It'll keep you safe. So what's the budget? This budget I've been living off of now for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. I needed to make sure I had this budget before I got married because you need guidance with your money. If you kind of just live willy-nilly with your cash, you're going to end up in some really dark places, okay? So you need a budget, right? Budgets, there's plenty of different ways to go about it. I love the 50-30-20 rule. When I learned this one, it like changed everything for me, okay? So let's talk about the 50-30-20 rule, all right? So the 50-30-20 rule is really simple. You can search this up online, same thing everywhere, it's great. 50% of your budget, let's say, I don't know, you make $100 a month because you have a very sad job, right? Which happens. I started and stuff like that, okay? You make only $100 a month, okay? which I don't even think is possible with $7.25 an hour, but maybe. Right? But in this world, you make $100 a month. 50% of that is your needs. Everything you need. What is it that you need in life? What are the things that you need? For example, I need my car. To get to work, I need my car. To pick up my wife, to take my dogs places, whatever, I need my car. It's not like I want my car. No, I need my car. Okay? Because the buses won't go to those areas. They won't go in the time that I need them to go, right? Like my career has evolved to the point where if I need to be somewhere, I need to be there now. Like you can't wait on a bus schedule, okay? So a car became a need for me. What other things do we need? What do you think, guys? Not everyone at once, please. It's so loud in here. All right, what do you think? Cell phone plan. That's an easy one, right? Like a lot of us need to be in communication with people in the 21st century. There's no way around it. Like it's just, you have to, okay? I agree. I am on Mint Mobile, right? We used to be on T-Mobile, and we were paying like $140 a month. My wife and I now pay $30 a month together, right? Mint Mobile was great. It worked perfectly. Didn't matter if I got this little Fox or anything like that, like on my phone. It works, right? So I took my bill and I cut it way more than in half, right? Because I just need it, and it does what I need. I am on a 5 gig plan right now for data, which hurts sometimes when I go out of town. Like freaking everywhere has Wi-Fi. So I go to Starbucks, I have Wi-Fi. Right? I go to school, I have Wi-Fi. At home, I have Wi-Fi. Right? Almost everywhere has a Wi-Fi now. It's rare that I'm in a place where I don't have Wi-Fi. And most things that we have allow us to download content. Right? So I just download content if I'm ever in a place where I'm out of data. Even Google Maps, I've downloaded my maps for San Antonio, Laredo, Austin, Dallas, and stuff like that. So even if I'm out of data, I still have GPS all the way through, no matter what, right? So leverage technology, right? I don't have to pay $150 a month to my white phone plan. I pay $30. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Anything else? What else do we need, guys? I'll give you a cheat sheet. You can look up there. What do we need? You need to eat. That's important. Yeah, absolutely. Chick-fil-A is not groceries. You do not need Chick-fil-A. Someone's crying inside right now. Okay. I need it. Right? No, you do not need it. You want Chick-fil-A. That's behavior, right? That's why it smells so freaking good. It's peanut oil, right? That's what the Chick-fil-A smell is. It's peanut oil. Smells super good. Okay? It's designed like that. Smells so good. That smell brings you in. That's why Starbucks smells the way it smells, right? It brings you in, okay? And I need it. I need it. Because coffee is probably one of the worst expenses you will ever add to your bill, okay? Astronomical markups, okay? You could pay, literally, if you just make coffee at home, one time a month, if you went and you bought a coffee maker, like on Black Friday, right? You bought like a Ninja coffee maker. You spend $100. You're gonna already spend that $100 in 2 months, probably, like in coffee. Make your coffee at home. It's just miles cheaper than buying Starbucks, okay? And I don't work for Starbucks. I don't hate Starbucks, right? My wife drinks Starbucks all the time. It's fine. We'll talk about that in your wants, okay? But what I'm saying is you can save so much cash by doing that, right? That's coffee. You just want it so you can stay awake, whatever. Just drink it at home, okay? So, yeah, absolutely. Chick-fil-A is not groceries. You need groceries, okay? So I've done that. I took the national average of groceries. It was $600, and I applied that to my wife and I. I just took the, like, what are people spending on average in the United States? And that is within my budget. I put that into my needs. So I said, I want $600 for groceries every month. We live by that. My wife's like, isn't that too much? I'm like, no, it's national average. It's within budget. We're fine. That's what we're doing. $600 for groceries. For us, okay? I have a household. I have a wife. My sweater-in-laws come and stay with us for a bit and stuff like that. And that's groceries like a month, maybe even 2 months sometimes. Okay? So that's my budget every month. As long as I stay in that budget, I'm good. So if I go to the grocery store and I want to buy meat and the meat's like $40 or $50, it's like, okay, like, do I want this to be that large of a purchase on my groceries? Let me look at my budget. How well am I doing in groceries right now? I think we're fine. I'll buy the meat, whatever. Okay? So just stick with your budget. Okay? Utilities, when you buy a house, that's going to be in there, right? Water, electricity, gas, heck, a gardener is probably going to be in there too. Because HOA does not want your house to look like crap. Does not want your grass to be really high and stuff like that. So you're gonna have to take care of all those things. All that stuff happens, okay? I will talk about investments later, but I installed a bunch of solar panels on my house and now my bill went down from like $370 to $70 a month, right? So we'll talk about that a little bit. But utilities, you need it, okay? So I budgeted. I overestimate my cost and I underestimate what I'm gonna make. So if I'm making, whatever, some random number, $1,172, I round it down to $1,000. I round up my cost though. So if the TV costs $1,042, the TV in my eyes costs $1,100. I always round up my costs and I round down what I'm making. It has kept me cush my entire life, okay? So round up costs, round down what you're making, makes everything very, very easy, okay? And if you can live within those means, super easy. So my water bill is usually like 70 bucks, I always round it up to $100 in my budget. My electric bill is usually $70, I round it up to $100 every month, right? So I end up with a cushion of like 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, never bothers me, okay? I don't like to do exact numbers because when you mess with exact numbers, all of a sudden like your whole budget's messed up. So I always round up costs, round down what I'm making, and there's a cushion for everything now. So even if I mess up a little bit like in my groceries, it's okay because I have like a $90 cushion over here, right? So it just kind of balances out. Make sense? Round up costs, round down what you're making, right? Your needs are gonna be 50% of your budget, okay? If you go over your needs, that means you're living too expensive. You bought too much house, you bought too much car, you bought too much insurance, you're buying too many groceries, your cell phone plan's too expensive, right? You did too much, okay? That one has to be 50%. Do not mess with that. And 50% of that when you buy a house, or 20% of that is your house. So that means you actually have 30%. Make sense? Right? Just stick within the numbers. Numbers don't lie, okay? Screw your feelings, numbers don't lie, okay? Stick to the numbers, it'll keep you safe. And if you stick to the numbers, you get to relax and have fun. Okay, I'll show you why. Okay, so we're done with our needs. We go to our wants. Wants, anything you could want. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify. You want to spend it all on Starbucks every freaking month? Go ahead, whatever. You want to YOLO cash into Dogecoin? Go ahead. Have fun. Have a great time. You need to take advantage of this stuff, okay? People that oftentimes save, right, will develop psychological disorders. They're afraid of spending money, right? My wife is just like that. She's terrified of spending cash for stuff that we like need, right? Like we had a broken door on our Kia, right? It took me 3 weeks to freaking fix that thing, okay? And she's never did anything with it, right? We had to pay for it, but what ended up happening was it took 3 weeks out of her life later. But she was so nervous about spending that she couldn't do it. So I do it, right? Things that we need, even if it's in budget, she still gets anxiety about it. You have to learn how to spend, okay? But spend within the budget, okay? Have fun, right? Dining out, food delivery, right? You're freaking tired, okay? You want to order Papa John's, you're like, oh crap, but I gotta spend like $8 for it to be delivered? Who gives a crap? You're tired. Are you in budget? Yeah, then do it. Have a good time, relax, enjoy yourself, right? Just whatever you do, stay in the budget, right? It's so simple. And that's where we go, oh, should I do it, should I not? Is it in budget, yes or no? Is it? Fine. Dude, I just spent like $70 on like trading card like sleeves the other day, okay? And my wife was like, oh, you really want to do that? I was like, I don't care. I have a budget, I stick in my budget, okay? And that's all I have to do. So I wanted the sleeves, I bought the sleeves. That's it. And I was like a big clearance sale, so I bought like 20 or 40 sleeves, like I bought a ton of stuff, right? I was like, this is what I want. My wife drinks coffee like all the time, and she's like, is that safe? I'm like, yeah, you can do whatever you want. Right? You want Dunkin', you want Starbucks, you can get whatever you want, it's fine. Just make sure you're having some fun. You've got to let off that steam a little bit, okay? You've got to be able to do that. Any questions on wants or needs right now before we move on? Yes, ma'am.
I feel like that connection to the saving part. Because you said just now the Dutch way. So wait, investing in stock market or doing some investments count towards wants or savings?
I'll help you with that one. That's a fun one. Yeah, absolutely. Let's come back to that when we get to savings. I love that you brought that up. Yeah, I'll clarify. Any other questions? In wants and needs? Is that pretty self-explanatory? Like, it's pretty easy to understand? Yeah? Okay. Let's go to savings. Okay. 20% should be debt. And then when you've paid off your debt, savings. Okay? Pay off your debt. I don't think any of you really have debt right now, except those of you that have student loans. right? Student loans, those of you that do have one, you don't have to raise your hand. There's two types of student loans. There's subsidized and unsubsidized. The U in unsubsidized means you paid. That means the day you took that loan out, you started accruing interest. The very day you took it out, okay? That means that by the time you graduate, that loan has grown exponentially, okay? It's called an unsubsidized loan. Almost no one does subsidize anymore. Subsidize means you gain interest when you're done with college. Almost no one does it anymore. So careful with taking out all those loans, right? You are gaining interest on that monthly, okay? And you can ask, you can go to finance and ask them, or not financial aid, Bursars, and just ask, what's the interest on that loan? The same thing, 12%, I'm sorry, whatever it is divided by 12, that's the month, like the amount that you're paying per month, right? And then you can understand how much that loan is growing every single month, okay? All that is to do is not to freak you out, but to give you purpose to say, be careful taking those loans, okay? You're gaining interest, right? 20% of whatever it is, you pay off your debt. Just pay off your debt. Get out of debt. Get out of debt. It's killing you. Every month, you're paying more and more money. Get out of debt. Get out of debt, okay? And when you're out of debt, then you go to savings, okay? The first thing we're gonna do in savings is we're gonna see it right now, okay, is the emergency loan, okay? An emergency loan is 6 months of whatever you need to live, okay? So let's say what you need to live is $1,500. You've calculated everything. This is how much my car payment is, and how much your insurance is, my phone, like all of your needs, okay? You calculate it, came out to $200. Multiplied by 6, $1,200. You need $1,200 in an emergency loan. Why do we need the emergency loan? It's because if you lose your job, it gives you 6 months to figure it out, okay? It is very hard now to switch careers. It takes a while, okay? You've got to interview. They're not going to hurry up for you. They're going to take their time, right? You might go through 3 interviews sometimes, right? When you get into the field, you might do that. It's going to take a while, guys, okay? You've got 6 months of your payments, though. So it doesn't mean you just sit on your butt and do nothing. It just means I got a cushion. I'm okay. Use the emergency budget, the emergency fund, pay off your needs, and take your time to get your job, right? That way you don't, not in a bad way, no disrespectful way, right? But that means that you just don't have to deliver pizzas and try to do everything, right? Or sell your car, or sell your house. Make sense? It stops that reality from happening. That's the point of it. Some people do a year. You can do that if you want, okay? It's not bad. It's not a bad idea, okay? But most of the time, 6 months is okay. You'll find another job in 6 months, all right? Any questions on that emergency fund? Pretty simple, right? So whatever you're going to pay in that month, like whatever you need, you collect that up, okay? I even add my wants to it though, because I don't want my life to change at all. Like I don't want my life to change one bit in those 6 months. I want to live a normal life for those 6 months. So I add my needs and my wants together, right? And that's what I need to collect for that month, and I need to multiply that by 6. Very, very simple, okay? Especially during tax season, when you get like your tax money back, start in your emergency fund. Because it's gonna be a big chunk of money, right? Like it's a big chunk of money that we need to get in those 6 months, right? Throw in that tax money in there and build into it, okay? It's really smart. It's that way you don't have to worry about it, and I really mean it, dude. Hard times fall on everybody. I've lost a job, okay? People lose jobs. You have anxiety attacks at work and you're like, I don't want to be here anymore. I hate this place, right? It happens. Other people do not have the luxury of being able to pivot. You can if you have that emergency fund. Make sense? Right? But again, it goes back to behavior. Are you willing to save up 6 months? Right? It's going to take you like 2 years to do it. But are you willing to do it? Right? I would argue it's very much worth it. Keeps you safe. Okay? And then you have crap like this happened to me. I'm spending $1,700 fixing my car that came out of my emergency fund. Right? Didn't mess with my budget at all. Didn't mess with my plans at all. Came from that. Make sense? Right? Super simple. So, after you pay off the debt, you do the savings, you do the emergency fund. Can we invest? Yes and no. Okay. So, how does that work? All right? Investing is a whole different game. All right? 1, you need to be making money with your money. Right? Money is depreciating. Okay? Your money today is not worth the same amount tomorrow. It actually goes down in value. Okay? Now you're looking at your dollar and you're like, it's still worth $1. Okay? Here's what it means. In business, we understand that money has the capability of making more money. So if the money is not making more money, it's actually losing value. 2, every year the US goes up in price about 2%, right? It's called inflation. It's normal and it's actually very healthy for the economy, okay? You want things to go up in price. You want your house to be worth more. You want that car to be worth more. You want things to be worth more. You want to get paid more, right? It's called inflation, okay? That's why people that work for Nabisco, they make more money next year because Oreos go up in price by 2% and so on and so forth, okay? It's 2% usually. That's why there was this big thing in the United States, right? That interest went up or inflation went up by 5.9%, 7%. It was ridiculous, right? Like basically almost 3 times what is normal, okay? Crazy, crazy numbers. And so everything's gonna get more expensive by about 2%. That means you need to be making money more than 2%. Okay? Your money needs to make more than 2% of its value wherever it's stashed, whether it's in the stock market or it's in a savings account, to deal with inflation. Because if you just leave your cash under a bed, it doesn't work, right? Our parents and our grandparents would stash cash under a bed. And they were like, this is just like 20 years of savings, $10,000. You can't buy a freaking car for 10 G's now. Get it? Right? It doesn't work. It needs to make money. Okay? Right now, you can put it into a high interest savings account. For example, Capital One, my credit card company, has savings accounts. It's not a credit card, it's a savings account. They want my money, so I stash it with them. They give me 4.5% in my savings account. Okay? That's greater than 2%. So fine. My cash is making me enough money to deal with inflation. Okay? It's cool. Right? The other side is the stock market, right? The stock market, high risk, high reward, okay? Stuff that's safe, things like, I don't know, I mean, that's really hard to say. Home Depot. Home Depot and Lowe's, I don't know, they're not really going anywhere, right? You can buy some shares of them. They pay things called dividends, okay? They pay them kind of like every quarter, like at $2 or something like that, or $1 a quarter for every share you hold, okay? Every share might cost you $130. So every $130 you spend, you get like 25 cents. Okay? Yes, it's important. Crypto is the highest risk right now, but highest reward. Okay? For example, if you had YOLO'd your cash into Bitcoin in 2010 or something like that, right, and you put, I don't know, 10 grand into it, you would be a multi-millionaire right now. Multi-millionaire, maybe even billionaire. Okay? Because it was just like nobody saw it coming, right? Somebody bought a pizza for a Bitcoin. Like, they literally said, hey, can I have a pizza? And they gave the pizza guy like a Bitcoin for the pizza, and he was like, yeah, sure, why not? Okay? Like that guy just made 80 grand. Okay? However, in crypto, and actually I should be talking about this because you guys are talking about this all day. Okay? In crypto, there's a lot of rug pulls. There's a lot of companies that are fake. They create the token, you invest in it, they get their money, and then nothing happens with the project, right? Crypto right now is all potential. We haven't seen somebody say, except for Mark Cuban and the Mavs, we haven't really seen a place where people have said, hey, you can spend your crypto here, okay? So like with the Mavericks in Dallas, he allowed people to pay for things with Dogecoin, right? So you can go in there and you guys should pay with Dogecoin if you want. Some places like accept Bitcoin and crap like that too. Like you could do that, yeah. But it hasn't really hit the market yet. Okay? That's why everything's potential. That's why right now Bitcoin and Doge skyrocketed, right? Because the hope is that Trump coming in and him, tag teaming with Elon, they will regulate the crypto market, and all these things will start, going somewhere, and it's all just potential. It's all potential. It's all potential, right? Be really careful. I have lost 20 grand that way, okay? And that's what I'm saying is like, be careful doing these things because you can lose a lot of money. So if you really want to think about investments and stuff like that, my advice, my personal advice, this is not financial advice, is look into businesses, evaluate what you want to do, and look at things like ETFs or what's it called, index funds. Okay, don't buy one stock, buy a lot of stocks for one price. Okay, that is not financial advice. That is me just saying be careful in the stock market. You will lose money really, really, really fast. Okay, really, really, really fast. And especially when you start trading and you do things like futures and stuff like that, you will lose a lot of money. And I've seen people lose everything. I was working with a hedge fund and they lost millions of dollars. They closed. They lost 6 businesses because of crypto, right? And that is me saying that I own crypto. I own ADA, I own Doge, I own SHIB, I have that, right? But I'm saying be careful, okay? My advice would be savings accounts, emergency funds, and then personally, I would do my wants. I would do my wants with stuff like that. And you can have fun in YOLO and see what happens. Make sense? Right? Be careful with that stuff. It's not as easy as you think. It really is not. Right? And you will lose money really fast. Does that make sense, everybody? All right. Any questions on this budget?